Okay.
Good evening, I am call the school board meeting to session at 6:01. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so moving into this meeting, we have one item on our agenda, and that is just to learn a little bit more about the Champions Before and After School program that is being looked at to hopefully start in our district next school year. So giving everyone an opportunity to hear a little bit about it, they've created a PowerPoint, and then we will go into public comment and let people ask questions. So I will turn it over to you, Heather and Alexis. Oh, we can't hear you.
Mute yourself. Mute all lines.
It says we all need them.
That will mute everybody.
Okay.
So, all right, can you say hi now?
Can you hear me now?
I can, but I gotta plug into my speakers, so it's definitely a speakers thing. This is what happens when you test the technology. It worked 30 seconds ago.
All right.
Okay, can you say hi?
Nope, now we can't hear anything.
Well,
Try.
blast it on this instead. There we go.
How is microphone?
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Thumbs up.
We can hear you. Yep.
Thanks. Thanks so much for calling this meeting. My name is Heather, and I have been working with Ivy and Rebecca to kind of develop a program, a before, after school break, summer kind of option for your school. I also have Alexis with me, which is probably the most important person outside of your group, because she's the area manager that handles all of our champion sites in New Hampshire as well as part of Massachusetts. She's going to be able to answer, I'll run through the PowerPoint very quickly, but between Alexis and I, we're going to be able to answer day-to-day questions, kind of in-the-week questions that any parent or administrator may have. Community member, that's what we're here for. We want to make sure that you guys feel comfortable kind of moving forward in regards to just bringing in a provider to help support those kiddos out of school time, okay? All right, so we are on page 1, so this is, like I said, I'm going to run through this very briefly. What Champions is we are before school, after school breaks. What we're talking about when I mention breaks is we're talking about those PD days, those extended full week breaks, so winter break, fall break, spring break, and then as well as summer. So we cover all of that in regards to out of school care. We manage all of the hiring of the staff. We pay all of the benefits. We manage all of the family schedules, all of the payments. All of that runs through Alexis and her team, as well as partnering with the state in regards to child care vouchers to help support families that qualify and that could just use that extra little support. Let's go to page 2. And I'm not sure if it's page 2 for you or what that looks like, but we're going to make this work. Perfect. Champions in your community. So, as you can see, we are a kind of under the umbrella of KinderCare. KinderCare is a child care provider that has, as it says on the screen, the largest child care provider in the entire country. Our focus today is just on the champion side of the house. We do have currently 5, and Alexis is going to look different, 5 programs in the state of New Hampshire, but we've been in the Northeast for over 30 years. It's just kind of give and take of where we are and where it fits for schools and school districts. Let's go to the next.
Okay, build to adapt.
Perfect. And I apologize, I move in my screen around too, is to make sure that I cover everything. Alexis, can you see this slide? If not, I'm going to take you in, because again, this is your sweet spot. This is said, she's the starter, she's a specialist, so let's go through the build to adapt.
Yeah, so one of the great things that I got to show when you guys came to visit us in Northwood, we want to make sure that our kids are busy doing something at any hour that they're with us. We don't want them coming to champions and just sitting down, miserable at a table, they've just been at school all day. We want them walking in, we want them having fun. We want to get them outside when we can, to the gym if it's raining outside, but we essentially want to make sure they always have something to do. So on here you'll see some really good examples of our interest area cards. So they are chock full of any fun thing that you can imagine for our kids. We have like a math and science center, we have a creative arts, we've got a little library for the kiddos that might just want a few minutes to themselves, maybe they don't want to be sitting at a table with a bunch of other friends right now. We have building and construction, so they can play with magnet tiles for a little bit. We have specific activities that go with the cards too, just to make sure that they're engaged with something. And kind of the best part of all of our stuff is on wheels, right? So today there's a school board meeting. If we were set up that day, we needed us out a little bit earlier, we could just roll on over to another part of the school if we had to. If the school has a special event going on, no problem, we can roll on over to a different part of the school. As long as we're licensed for it, we can move. We're all about the flexibility and adaptability of the program. We take care of all of our own marketing as far as like providing signage for the school, which is great. We have specific areas that we like to kind of, parent pick up your little champion sign up, but we provide all of that for the school. We provide all the flyers. We've got our family communications board, so at every pickup and drop off, families know what's going on. They know, okay, today's the day that I have to choose my schedule for the next week. There's a snack menu on there, so they know what the kids are going to be eating, what curriculum unit we're on. We've got all that good stuff ready to go, movable, adaptable, wherever we need to be, it's going to come with us. So that is kind of a run through of
audience today needs, more in-depth information, I can send you, it's kind of a dry read, but I will send you a full document that's about 20 pages long, almost an RFP level response, but it's gonna give you everything that you possibly have questions on after our meeting, okay?
Yeah, if you could do that, that would be great, and that way we can get that on our site to share with anyone who couldn't be here today.
Yeah, okay.
Thank
All
you.
right, Alexis, let's roll through the curriculum if we can.
Yeah, so, the fun thing about our curriculum is it's all like inquiry and activity-based learning, right? Again, getting kids before they even started their day fully woken up and they've already been at school all day, so it's not, us sitting there reading from a book, making them do worksheets, it's all activity and inquiry-based. So our curriculum is really just, it's units that we have kind of all tried and true, ones that the kids tend to really like year over year. Where we'll decide a unit that they're going to be working on, but it's all creative when it comes to what the site directors are really going to do with that unit. We have very specific plans in place for those who might be like a little stuck for a unit. We have anything that they can imagine to take from the book, but they're also empowered to tailor it to the kids that are at that specific site, which is what most of them choose to do. So if they have a group of kids that are really nature leaning, anything that we do in our unit might be tailored to that. So it's very creative, it's very tailored to each site specifically. Same thing with like homework help, things like that. We have some schools that don't have homework, so we're not gonna set up a homework station because the kids don't have homework. So we might set up like an extra addendum to the library instead. But the curriculum is super flexible with how we do it, but we do have things in place just to make sure those kids are staying engaged. And like I said, we have our interest areas too. If we have a friend who is not into the activity of the day, we do not force anybody to do anything, but we make sure they have options of what else they can do in the meantime to keep themselves busy. But yeah, I can kind of like mentally go through just line by line. I'm not going to do that to you, but if anybody has any specific questions about it, I'm absolutely willing to hop in on that. But it's very tailored to the students that we have at any given time. We like to let them vote on what they're going to do too. Like if we're torn between two activities, we're going to have the kids help us decide which ones we're going to do that day. And there's a manual for each kind of season. Like I said, just to make sure that there's something planned at any given time.
I love that. And I think too, what we try to do, and Alexis, again, please correct me if I'm wrong, is we try to align it to what is being taught throughout this school year. So at the beginning, this one always stands out to me because I have kids in elementary school, is at the beginning of the school year, they have a unit which is about building community, right? So as we know, I have a 4th grader that's going to move into 5th grade, 6th grader moving into 7th grade. Those first like 4 to 6 weeks are pretty intense as far as finding the people and what does a new classroom look like. Champions and Alexis and her team do a phenomenal job of kind of aligning that to what you guys are working through during that time of the school year to make it, oh yeah, we're building community, I can have friends outside of my classroom and all of that, as well as setting expectations.
we want to pause for a minute and see, do any of the board members have any questions thus far? Does anyone in the audience have questions thus far? All right. Okay, if anything pops up, just let us know.
Are we on Camp?
Camp. This is just, again, this is not something I think we spoke to heavily as a group, but these are two different options that we run in the summer. Camp Great Outdoors is, not sure, I don't know if we have one in the area, but that one is kind of more, it's different than our normal summer camp. So what I want us to focus on is the one on the right-hand side. That is our summer camp that's on school grounds. Again, we're working with the same teachers, same group of kiddos, but they level it up to make it more fun because obviously they're there all day. And I'm going to let Alexis speak to it because I know she has some summer camps coming up already. I can't even think of the summer, but here we are.
Yes, our camp is like the best time of the year for me personally, but it's full day camps in the summer. The only time we don't operate is like 4th of July or the day before. But other than that, as long as the school will let us use the space, as long as we'll run summer camp. It's full day programs. It's usually like 7 to 5:30. We plan out the whole day ahead of time. I have 4 camps this year because we combined a bunch together. And I mean, we've had all of our plans set in place really since like February, March, so that we can send out all those super fun calendars for everybody. We do field trips, we have vendors come in, but it's similar where we still have our curriculum going, like each week is a different theme, but it's all about, it's pretty much an extension of the school year, but way more fun. Like, we have water play, we'll set up some sprinklers, no pools or anything like that, but we'll set up water balloons and sprinklers for the kids so that they can still enjoy their summer while they're with us. We don't want them to feel like they're stuck in a daycare, stuck with a babysitter. We want them excited to show up every day. So they're going to walk into like bubble machines and music every morning. We have like a camp rally. It's super, super fun. And this year we're also highlighting a lot of fun programs too with outside organizations that are coming in and doing certain weeks with us. We have like a youth athletic one, there's an innovation one, there's a lot of fun things that summer just keeps getting bigger and bigger every year. So it's a good time.
Absolutely. I think one that they're working on, and we don't have it everywhere, is I say potentially, so don't hold me to it, is Lego in the future. So my son right now is obsessed. He's doing a bunch of Legos. So those are the kind of the partnerships that they're working towards, is to just bring in more off electronics, hand-eye coordination activities, building social, communities, things like that. So, all right, let's head into inclusion in services. And this is where I apologize ahead of time, and I will send out that document that has much more information on it. What Alexis and I want to get across is that we absolutely do have inclusion services. We have teacher resources available, and I'll let Alexis speak to it a little bit more as what that looks like in a school site or in a Champions program. And you may have even seen it when you visited the site, but just know that our teachers are not alone. They have these skills, they have the training, and then if something feels that they need extra support, we have a team at our corporate level and Alexis all the way up that can provide that support to the teachers on the ground.
Yeah, I would say our inclusion services is my favorite resource that we have. If we have somebody that needs an extra little bit of support while they're with us, they are the people on the back end helping us figure it out, especially if we can't. Obviously, our first line of defense is always, if we have somebody who's having a rough time, we're going to communicate with the families first. Hey, is there anything going on that we can help with? What works at home? But if everybody's stuck or it's just something that's different from the school day, or even if it's the same during the school day, we reach out to folks over at Inclusions. They can help us if somebody's experienced a traumatic event, and if we know ahead of time, like, hey, you're going to be out of Champions for a little bit, but when they come back, things might look different. We can reach out to them ahead of time. They're going to give us those support tools on how to accommodate that too. Some kids have their own break boxes if they need it, or it's stuff specifically for that friend if they are having a tough time. We really do everything we can to make sure that they can be comfortable and happy and safe in our program. So it's my favorite resource for sure.
Oh, and since when we came and saw you, you shared a story too, where you had a child that needed a one-to-one para, and you guys worked with some of your resources to be able to help the family with a scholarship for that para so that that child could remain in the program. Can you share a little bit more about that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we get to a point, and usually that it's pretty far down the line, like if we've worked on a behavior plan and a behavior contract for a while, and we're just like, this is, either a not safe situation for that student or for the teachers, but the family really needs to share with us. If they need a one-on-one, if we get to that point where it's like, okay, you can still attend, but the family needs to provide a one-on-one, we totally understand that that's like an added expense for the family. And that's not what we want. We're not about, trying to nickel and dime everybody for everything they've got. So if we ever reach a point where champions can't support that student on their own, then yeah, we will typically work on a scholarship opportunity so that we take care of the tuition so that the family can take on the expense of adding a one-on-one for champions. And it's a case-by-case basis, of course, but typically if somebody really needs us, we're going to be there for them. But yeah, in that case, if somebody needs a one-on-one, we will usually work on a scholarship opportunity.
Thank you for that.
That's something I just learned. Yeah, that's something I just learned myself. So
Yeah, I thought that was really
I love
impressive.
that.
Are we on brilliance in the basics?
Yeah, let's cruise through, right? So really it's in the basics. Again, when it comes down to a before and after school program, a summer camp, I lean into being a parent. What is the most important thing for me is one, that my kids are safe. Two, that the program is following all the regulations that they're saying they are. What we and Alexis and their team do a great job of is all of this is posted, so parents can see it. They're well aware of those guidelines, what we're looking at. We also ask the school to participate in any additional safety training. If there's something above and beyond what it is that we're doing, we want to understand what you guys are doing and what you require of your teachers, because our teachers want to be a part of your community. The engagement side, again, is all back to community is we want to be a part of your PTO, your PTA, we want to be a part of your back to school night. If you're welcoming in a kindergarten group, or at the end of the school year when you're doing field days, all of that. Our champions team do a phenomenal job of showing up, even if it's during the day. That's where we want to be. We want to make sure that everybody knows our teachers and feels safe with it. And then the program itself, again, looking at it from a parent perspective, I want the flexibility of being able to change my schedule weekly, which is what we allow our families to do, because things come up where you have family in town and you're deciding don't need that care. For whatever that looks like, is you can schedule 2 weeks. Is it 2 weeks, Alexis, or is it weekly now?
It's weekly, so you have until the end of the day Wednesday to make your schedule for the following week, which is great.
Perfect. And then again, we're not locking everybody into 5 days a week. It is you have the ability to select the days that you need care for. I think that's really important. Alexis, anything there? I don't wanna cruise through this again, this is an important piece.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably, I would say, like the biggest chunk of it, but it's, yeah, the safety is definitely the biggest piece, and that's the biggest part of my job too, so that's where I come in. We'll have a site director at every location, so your school will have a site director, but it's my responsibility to stop in and make sure that we're following everything that we need to follow. If the school has any concerns, I'm the one that's gonna bring that. I mean, obviously, if you can bring it right to the site director, it can solve super fast, great, but if it's something that you need extra support with, I'm the one that you come to have that conversation, or even if things are going really great, you wanna let me know, please do. But from the safety piece and the licensing piece, that's where I come in, make sure we're following all the regulations for childcare licensing. Our licensors are really great partners with us, so that if we have questions, we always have someone to reach out to as well. But the health and safety piece is definitely the biggest part, where we collaborate the most with families. In our app, we also can communicate directly with families now, which is great. But yeah, I think for the most part though, having covered the majority of the brilliance and basic stuff, it was sort of all encompassing through the whole slideshow. It was all leading to that, so.
All right, let's go to making your school year easier. Just to circle this all up, is the goal of Champions is to be flexible. It's to focus in on what your school needs, what your families need, and then we customize around that. We want to support your teachers throughout the day, and how we do that, it looks a little bit different, but we have those engaging activities, we have those literacy and math boosters, just to help, not only keep them engaged, but hopefully make their school time a little bit more fun. And that also kind of jumps into that learning loss. Is there a way that we can help kind of close that gap for you guys within the activities and the units that we have? Yes, absolutely, there are some areas that we can do it. We know that's a big piece. The other thing we didn't touch on is social emotional learning. And I think we have all been living through just a lot these last 5 years, and they do a phenomenal job of not only including every kiddo, but allowing them to have their own choice and their own voice, and then also helping them understand and regulate what it means to live in a community and what in a community of kids and adults. And then that last piece is talking again about childcare benefits. Is your staff, if they have kids of this age group, they can use the before school, they can use the after school, they can use the breaks in the summer, and there's a discount for that. And then if we do have a kindergarten center that's close and they have that age group, we want to make sure that we're extending that benefit to them as well. So, all right, that is in a nutshell, very quickly, what Champions is in only 10 slides. But truthfully, again, Alexis and I are here to answer those questions that have popped up since we've been talking since February, and going, seeing maybe you have more questions after you've visited the site that we didn't get to. Anything that you guys have, that's what we're here for.
And you guys your faces are back on the big screen, just so you know.
Woo! Okay.
I think a couple of questions that they had were, how many kids do we need to have enrolled to get started?
Good question. So obviously when we start, we know it's going to be smaller. Ideally, what we want to operate, and I was able to get this changed a little bit for us, because I think, please correct me, and Rebecca, correct me, you have more of a need for after school than you did before, is that correct?
That is what our community indicated in a survey I put out. About a third of families respond to that, and it was primarily an after-school thing, although there are certainly pockets of need among families for before care as well.
Gotcha. Okay. So, and that's why I went back and changed it. So before school, ideally, our target or our minimum is going to be 8 kids on average per week. So that can sometimes look like 4 kids a day. That can sometimes look like 12 kids a day. But the 8 is the target to keep that portion of the program running, and then after school, the target is 16 kids. Again, that can be a combination of 2 part-time kids,
heard, was asked at the school board meeting was, is there any risk of Middleton of an out-of-pocket cost for this? Is there any risk of us being charged anything?
I think the biggest issue or concern for you all would be if the minimums aren't met. That is one of the discussions we had early, is there is gonna be a gap. So in order for Champions to come in and operate, those minimums have to be met after 90 days, or yes, there could be potentially a chargeback. Now, what I don't want to see happen is, I will tell you, we have yet to make that charge for the small schools that we operate, we just know that is a risk. The other thing is, I will absolutely provide you with private grants that you guys can go after as a school to just kind of beef up that side of it. And that doesn't mean that you have to pay for kids to come into the program. That funding could be used for other things to do enrichment, but we do have some private grants that are tied to state and federal, which is a blessing, that I can send your way, and they're easier to go grab.
What would that cost look like if that ends up happening?
So it's gonna be, good question, I can't give you an exact amount because it's gonna be calculated on how many kids are showing up, per week. So our target is they're not going to enforce it for the first 90 days. That's gonna give us a really good idea of where we're at, doing as much marketing as we possibly can, and getting the enrollment up. And Alexis, she does a phenomenal job of working with the teams to make that happen. And then they're gonna reevaluate. I will say this again, I do have a lot of small schools in the Northeast, in kind of your world. They have not charged it yet, because they understand kind of the hill that you guys are dealing with as far as just being a small school and trying to put something together. So within that first year, like I said, I've yet to see them actively charge anything back to the school.
And you guys bring all the supplies, there's no cost to the school to start the program?
That is correct. I think the current tally on with inflation, it's around like $27,000 worth of materials that we provide to the school. That is all the rolling carts, all the rugs, all the things, all of the art supplies, the library books, the science activities, all of that is within that pool of 27,000 of materials, and then we will restock as needed. None of that gets charged to the school.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How does the recruitment and marketing work? Is that something that falls to the school, or is that something that you guys handle?
Good question, and I'll have Alexis dig into it. I'll answer, you do not have to do any of that. We are going to lean on you for two things. One, recommendations of people that
have some schools that will like post on if they have a school Instagram or something, they might post one of our flyers or for break camp or something like that, or for a special event, but, it's not something that really you have to do it, but it's nice.
Yeah, if there's a newsletter that you guys put out, or PTA, PTO, you want us to work with, again, it's not mandatory, but the more we can get out there and let them know that champions exist, it just helps everybody.
I think, and I don't know, Ivy, you spoke with the principal. So Sam and I had the opportunity to go to Northwood and actually see the program operating, which was amazing. I think you guys said you've been at Northwood since 2019. Is that correct? You guys stayed open through all of COVID, which is impressive on its own. And then Ivy spoke with the principal over there to kind of get their feedback on how happy they are with the program. So I just wanted to give Ivy an opportunity to share kind of.
And what I heard is it has been really plug and play there, in that while they might assist with some small things, that it is an independently running program that does not impact the day-to-day for the front office, that it has been really helpful for families, and the principal could not speak highly enough about how flexible and independent the program was in schools.
And their families, from what you heard, the families and things have been happy with the
Yes,
program.
yeah, definitely.
What's the cost for families?
Did you hear the question? It is, what is the cost for families?
Oh, good question. Let me, hang with me. I have it, where do we go? Okay, so I'm just gonna, again, I will resend this out to everybody, but I'm just gonna give you the 5-day rate, so, for better, or lack of confusion. So before school, the 5-day rate is $45. After school, 5-day rate is $85. This is all again before scholarships or before a child care voucher is in place, and then breaks in summer, that is combined at the beginning, again, 5-day rate, we know breaks go down to 1 day, but 5-day rate on breaks in summer is $235 a week.
And it was
I
other,
will
it was
email
other,
this to you because there's student registration, there's family registration, so it's in a document, it'll be on page 6 of the proposal, but I'll make sure that you guys all have a hard copy of it so you can review it that way.
so that's $45 a week and $85 a week.
Correct.
For 5 days, yeah.
But total, that's 5 days, so if, again, families only need before, or they only need after, they're only going after, they're only gonna be paying for the after school care, not home.
Is there a discount if families do before and after, or is it still the separate rates?
I would go, typically no, but I'm gonna go back and ask what we can do. I don't see the combo on here. That's something that we're exploring more this year, so I will make myself a note to go back and have them see what we can come up with.
There are
Great question.
discounts for multiple children.
Discounts for multiple children within the same family?
Yes, 10%. We have teacher 10%, military 10%, multi-child 10%.
So the question we just racked was what about kids with IEPs, and that's where you would use that resource I think you had talked about with Colleen?
Correct. When we're talking about IEPs, we're very upfront, we're gonna have meetings in Alexa's space. I'm not on the ground, so I wanna make sure that I get it correct, but you're first gonna have a conversation with the family as well as your school staff, right? Anybody that's involved, we wanna get that full picture of the accommodations that our kiddo needs in order to be successful in the before school, after school program. That looks different for everybody. I will say my kiddo has, my son has ADHD and his accommodations right now have been nil, outside of homing quarter and some fidget and a chair that can wiggle. Going into 5th grade, I as a parent know that it's gonna get a little bit more intense, so I have to ask for a little bit more. So I am fully with Alexis in support of what it is that they
what are you looking for, so basically they're taking their IEP and they're gonna meet with them so that they figure out how to support it.
I just,
I want to make sure you get it.
I just want to make sure it's all inclusive, that's all.
Yeah, it's all inclusive.
And I think it's important to know there's a difference between a student on an IEP for academic reasons and a student who has a one-to-one behavior or support paraprofessional. So what I heard is, if we're talking about kids who have a one-to-one, there's other layers of support that they have to provide, and there's a conversation with families. Did I get that correctly?
Absolutely, yes. If it's a one-to-one, that is very much a conversation Alexis and her team is gonna have with you, with the family, trying to figure out what does that look like during the day, and how, and if we can accommodate from day one, or if we do need to extend it to having that arrow or another, person present for that kiddo.
And to further clarify, the school would not be providing that information to you guys because we are bound by rules that do not allow us to information share. So that would be a conversation with the family that you would have.
Correct, yes. And then again, Alexis, correct me, please. If we need to have that conversation with the school, then that's a conversation with the parent, school, getting parent approval, that type of thing. It's another layer, but yeah, first and foremost, it's always going to be a parent conversation, and then if they allow us to have a group meeting, and if that is allowable through the school, then that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, there's like, if the family wants us to connect with the school on what the school's been doing during the day, as like a support piece, there's like a release form. It's not just like me walking into the counselor's office and being like, tell me about this kid. There's a whole process behind it.
So, would that, a 504 for food allergy, would that all under the same?
The question is about specifically 504, students with 504 access. I'm going to use your example. And food allergies and how that information gets communicated.
Yes, so for food allergies, there's going to be, along with enrollment paperwork, there's going to be like an allergy plan that families can fill out. Same thing with any other medical disorders we have. I have kids enrolled with epilepsy or asthma, things like that. There's additional paperwork that's going to be filled out during enrollment. Some of that is going to require some provider sign off for, like, if there's a medication that we have to administer, everybody takes medication authorization training, A, to protect privacy, and B, to ensure everybody knows exactly how to use medication, or an EpiPen is needed. But yes, if a student has an allergy, needs an EpiPen, we will absolutely have one in our first aid bag at all times, and it'll travel with us. We have a special backpack just for them.
So a kiddo cannot, I as a child could not sign up Tuesday to go to after school care without filling out all of that, and I'm in the thick of it myself, all of that paperwork that requires medical history, immunization records, release forms, all of that is required. We are licensed through the state, we take it very seriously, we do get monitored, we get checked to make sure that we're following all those regulations, and it's just important to know, again, what each child needs, and as Alexis said, to make sure that we're trained on that specific child to ensure that they're safe and taken care of. All great questions.
So is this a contract that we have to sign with the school board?
I'm going to just speak your question. So is this a contract that the school board would have to sign with your organization?
Good question. So the first step is the letter of intent. That is not legally binding. That came with the proposal, but I'll send it again. That letter of intent, again, not legally binding, but what it does allow us to do is begin the application process, the hiring process, all of that. After that, there is a contract that either the school level needs to sign or the school board, whatever you guys, whatever that hierarchy is, will sign it.
of fee, and I'm just wondering, school board, how do we approach that? Because when people rent our space, especially, I assume, are you guys for-profit or nonprofit?
Yep, we are for-profit, and I will say, we can, depending on what the rent is or the charge is, there is potential that we can just include it in. I just need to know what that is. Ideally, what we don't want to do, there's a couple of different things of how I approach this, and that's why we didn't include it that first time, is that we're doing our best to try to keep the costs down for families, so we don't have to hit those minimum numbers and make any expense. That was the priority number one. If it's a minimal rent per month, whatever that looks like, if you guys can send me an email with what it is, I will work on that tomorrow and see if we can just include it without adjusting anything. That is very, very common.
Does anyone in the audience have a question at this point?
I do. Is, once the contract's signed, are they guaranteeing they'll be here for a year? Or could they pull up stakes in October or December?
Did you hear the question? I repeat it.
You can't either, Nick. Alexis, did you hear it? Is what they, go ahead, Ivy, I'll let you repeat it.
The question is, once the contract is signed, do we have a guaranteed year of services? What happened, I can even paraphrase, okay, and you can let me know if I got the wrong thing. What happens if we don't meet those numbers, or what happens if you can't find the right staffing? Is there a backup clause that would allow you to leave us mid-year? Is that, yeah, okay.
Sorry, I just emailed myself. I was saying this, we do everything in our power to not back out. You actually have more of the authority than we do to back out. If for some reason the program is not successful, then they will have, Alexis and her team will have a conversation with you guys at the end of the school year, but that's not something that we, that's not our goal, is to work towards how we can close out sites. It's how do we keep this open and come up with different ideas. The biggest risk right now, guys, and I'm going to be very honest, the biggest risk right now is for you guys to make a decision so we can get licensed in time for the first day of school and hiring staff that is going to be reliable and stay around. That's the biggest risk as far as opening on time. Is we are on the state's calendar, even if we have everything in place, they decide when they come and visit. So I'll say that we do not want to back out mid-year. I don't think we have, but also if it's just not working at the end of the school year, then they're going to have that conversation with you. And then, like I said, the other risk is just making sure that we have enough time before school starts to get licensed, so we have access to the child care voucher system, as well as make sure that our staff is in place and trained.
Have you had schools that you had to leave early, and how many schools have you had to not continue after the first year? I know you've been at Northwood for quite a while.
I honestly, I can't answer that question because I don't have access to it, but I can try to get information. I will say, in the Northeast, the territory that I work, and I've been in it for a while, they are yet to close a site on me. It has actually been the school that said, actually, we're just not ready. And they got all the way to signing the contract, and then they decided they weren't ready, and they were going to stay with what they had. That's the only thing that has happened to me, but I can dig in with Alexis and Danny, the regional manager, just to get a little bit more intel for you.
How many sites do you oversee in the area that you cover, Heather?
What? Say that again?
How many sites do you oversee in the area you cover? How many sites are there?
Oh, good question. So that's not a question for me. I actually just handle all the pricing side of it for you guys. Putting that together, I will let Alexis in because she's in the field on the ground, and she can kind of go from area manager to site director level for you.
Yeah, so I personally cover So I covered 10, that's typically about the average that an area manager is gonna cover is like 10 to 12. And each site is gonna have a site director who is really gonna be the one, responsible for like maintaining the license and maintaining the child records, maintaining staff records, doing the curriculum along with their team. So I, like right now, I oversee 10 site directors, who report directly to me. We do weekly check-ins, and I visit the sites as often as I can. Again, as we lucky, I'm in New Hampshire, so I'm a little over an hour away. Typically, my goal is to stop into a site at least twice a month. More frequently, typically for new sites, I'll usually be there probably the first couple of weeks several times, just to make sure things are up and running smooth. Extra support if we have a brand new site director especially, but we connect virtually a lot as well. But I'm very accessible to them. My phone does not stop.
What about sick days when you have teachers and things that are calling out? How does that work so that families aren't left kind of hanging, and snow days?
So snow days, unfortunately, we typically will not operate because usually the school is closed. It's for a safety reason. So we'll usually operate on a snow day. As far as sick days, we almost always have a backup plan. We try to build ourselves a staff where we have substitutes available. That's also somewhere where we will sometimes lean in with the school if they have somebody that maybe doesn't want to commit to champions full time. Maybe they have somebody that's okay, willing to be a substitute for us in an emergency. But as far as us not having enough staff, it's very, very rare that we would have an instance where it would affect the day-to-day operations of the site. We have Northwood isn't super duper far, which is great. We also have Allenstown, so we have kind of that build-up of emergency staff if we need it. But typically, we have enough people where we can ask somebody to come in the next day and build a backup plan surrounding that if somebody's going to be out for an extended period of time. But as far as leaving parents hanging last minute, like, oh, never mind, we're not going to be here today. We don't have any staff. That's not usually something that's going to occur for us.
I think one big concern for the residents of Middleton is just the risk of a cost to us. Our budget is really, really tight this year. I think that's one big concern, is just making sure that we're not doing something that could put the residents at risk. I know you talked about a letter of intent, which is, you said, like, no risk because you can back out of that prior to anything else. So it sounds like you'll present us with a contract, we would review that again before we make the final commitment. And when does that occur? Would that be like in July, August, just so that we know as far as where that would fly?
Because of the timing of the year, I think the quicker that we can do this, the better. Until we either have a letter of intent signed or a contract signed, we cannot move forward.
Yeah.
Which means we cannot get an application to the state, we cannot begin a hiring process. So I can get you the letter of intent, again, no risk there, that activates us internally. Then you're gonna have an implementation meeting with Thea. Thea goes over with you, she'll prepare the contract, which that can be done next week. Prepare the contract for your review, as well as give you a list of all the inspections and information that we need from the school. That allows her to gather that and get an application, and while you guys are working through the contract. If there is a hesitancy at all, my recommendation is to hold. I don't want to rush you guys into a decision that you're not comfortable with, because what happens is it can put us at a risk of not having the best quality staff, and I also don't want to put you guys in that bind either. So if there's any hesitancy whatsoever because of the concerns, I would just, again, kind of slow the process, maybe review it again, and then look at bringing it into summer next year.
Does anyone else on the board have any other questions? Anyone else in the audience have any other questions?
And then what I can do, because I'm guessing you guys are not ready to make a decision as of right now, is I will email over the letter of intent, the pricing proposal, I'll email over everything about champions that is, like I said, it's about 20 pages long. Please review that, and I would say realistically, if it's a go, no, I will make sure that you guys are able to talk through it and probably have an answer by Friday. Again, we're okay pausing. We want to make sure that it's the right fit. We want to make sure that you guys are not concerned about cost. And if that is a big red flag, I'm okay with that. Alexis is okay with that. It has to be the right fit for you guys. And also on our side is we have to make sure that it's, one, is affordable appearance, two, that operationally that we can keep running it, because we don't want to have to let teachers go because we don't have enough kids in the program. So. Does that sound okay? We'll get that information over to you.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think we'll let you guys go, if no one else has any questions. We will talk it over as a board, and then we will get back to you, either later tonight or in the morning, and let you know kind of where we sit. I think ours is not so much the cost of the program, it's just making sure that the school doesn't get a bill. It's just that's our concern.
Like I said, we put minimums in place. I have yet to see the charge. What they really try to do is they just fight through that first year, because it does take a lot of work. And Alexis, please, again, you've done this, you've worked with small programs, especially in our main markets. They really try to fight through this first year of just getting the program established, getting it available to families, and then they'll review it again at the end of May. But Alexis, go for it.
Yeah, and I opened up 2 brand new sites last year, one in Allenstown, New Hampshire, one in Maine. And one thing I will say is we market the heck out of it, because we, don't want you guys to pay those minimums at all. Like, I know that it hasn't been something that has shown up in the past, like we haven't been charging them, but we get the word out as much as we can. Like, we are not just going to be like, okay, cool, we're opening in Middleton, everybody. Good luck, here's some flyers. We go out in the community, any community fairs that are going on, we're going to try to get them there. Last year we did Old Home Days, we did Christmas parades in my pickup truck. We really do everything we can to make sure it's as big as a successful program as it can be. Like Heather said, it's guaranteed jobs for our staff, but also just the parent outreach. I mean, I have a toddler we've probably heard a few times, so I know what it's like to not have access to the childcare that people need. So I'm all about making sure that anybody who can possibly know that there's champions that lives in New Hampshire is going to know about it. Whether it's social media marketing, all that stuff is available to us, ready to go. So again, it's not to add pressure, it's just we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that it's successful.
Perfect. Any other questions for them before we let them know?
Good.
Do you guys have any other questions? All right. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you taking the time to do this tonight.
Yes, thank you. Like I said, I'll get everything over to you. Actually, I might have some time yet tonight. Don't read it tonight, but it'll be in your inbox so you guys have it, okay?
Got it. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye. Okay. So now that we have them signed off, I do want to open for the board and public comment to discuss any of what your concerns are, any thoughts or questions you guys have outside of what we've heard, and kind of go from there.
So, what do we normally charge for the facility rental here?
I was trying to Google that on my phone, if you can just give me a moment, I can get that here, go back. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so for before school, it's $45 a week. And then they said it would be
proposal is. But again, just that they've never tested it.
The school.
Yeah.
I pay
And then
for 3 days
it's
contracts
the
and
Oh, so no, that third was from the survey, that was the answer on the survey.
I just want to make sure we're all copies so we can hear you guys. Did you guys, what was the question? I just want to make sure that everyone hears the same things.
I'm gonna be honest with you, that whole thing, I missed good with 90%.
Okay.
I just,
it was a little bit years.
it's just hard to hear it,
Yeah.
Okay.
so, but I get the gist of it.
Before school, we have to have, for the before school, we have to have a minimum of 8 kids. And then after school is a minimum of 16 kids.
So they aim for, their goal is an average rate. So when they're, so again, this is all kind of
So it's just
before.
average.
It doesn't have to be, so
So
it
it
doesn't
doesn't
have
have
to be 8, exactly. So they're kind of looking for an average, is what they're looking for. I mean,
So how many people are throwing at this? 1, 5?
For staff.
Is they have?
so they have to meet the state ratios. So this, when we were at the site in, North Cape,
They had 2 staff, I don't remember how many kids they had, I think they said it was like 1 staff for 8 or 10 kids.
yeah, I think it's one staff for 8 to 10 kids. So they're meeting at least the state ratios because they're licensed, so they have to meet those state ratios.
So we have that with contract.
They do a contract, it's a yearly contract, so they're looking at us going in for 1 year, to say that we're gonna work with them. I mean, I think the big thing is, like, they want this to be as successful as we want it to be.
Right.
So they want to continue and they want to continue running. So they're gonna make sure that they're gonna market and market and market. They're gonna be at every town that they can be at, to make sure that they're getting the word out there to families.
At least so if we're gonna go into a contract with people for a year.
Yep.
What would that number be? I mean, it's all based on a bunch of different things and what might not happen.
What do you mean, what would the number be? So for the first 90 days, they're looking at getting started. So after the 90 days, they're gonna pull the numbers of kids they've had and review if we need to do more marketing or where we need to be so that they can see
Okay.
how they get them to successful. I guess is basically kind of how they worded it to us.
So would that contract come into play after that?
So the contract is to say that they're gonna be here for a year and that we're gonna work with them to have the program here for the first year. They're gonna review after 90 days. I think she said 90 days, and I think it's like 6 months.
So the contract is just, we're gonna say, okay, we're gonna let you in the facility
For a year. Yep.
for a year. Then they're gonna market it themselves within town and everything to try to make it a success. The more that happens, then the better off they're gonna be.
Right.
What would be the, what's the start time and the end time, like during the school year?
So they said what they do is they take what the town needs. Most of their sites start at 6:30 and go to 5:30 or 6. But they can adapt it. They said if we have a need, like if there's a lot of needs for families at 6 o'clock, then we adjust to open at 6 o'clock.
One worry I have is that we have reduced custodial staff next year.
But they are anyhow working through.
So we have 12 hours of custodial coverage. So that would mean, the schedule I proposed is either a 6 or a 6:30 a.m. start time and going until 6:30 or so at night.
And that's,
So in the
so we
building.
just change the hours of custodial stuff like that, part-time, so is that staggered?
So I have a 4-hour person who is gonna start the day with us. When there's snow removal, I'm gonna have them come in earlier, so 6 a.m. Otherwise, probably a 6:30 start time. And then there's maybe a half an hour of overlap when my, next custodian comes in, who will work a 8-hour shift.
Not trying, I mean, I think I see this as a need, obviously, because I mean, there's limited daycare, as we know in town. And, I mean, so there's a need for people who don't have childcare and they're traveling all over God's creation to get to it.
Well, I think there's a safety, because parents who can't find childcare and they have to work, they don't often have other options, so we have like kids taking care of kids, and,
So,
I think providing that.
We also, I personally had an incident one year where my son was supposed to take the stay after school, and we had the other school care program going, and he was supposed to go someplace else, and he had forgotten it, and he took him home. So them not having to travel to different locations would be, amazing.
Yeah, the kids not having to go to bus, I think it might also reduce our bus needs, because our buses are super crowded. And if we have kids in the after-school program, then there may not be so many kids on the bus.
so I know this is gonna be their thing to have to deal with like that. What happens, you know, playing devil's advocate here,
Yeah,
if
for
things
sure.
happen? We don't have a generator here. Power's out, people gotta go to work, they may have power that's not gonna work. What happens all the time?
So
They
they
don't release.
just like
They get early release. Snow days are supposed to delay open and all that kind of stuff has to be, you know.
So if the school is closed, they're
The school is closed, we cannot lose that.
So, and then we asked them when we were there, I think it was you and me, Sam and I met with them, or it was you and I, we asked them, like, if there's this, like, storm's picking up, and we need, now after school, so if there's no after school programs, they're not running, because it's a safety need. If they're here and the storm picks up, then they call the parents and they say, we need to close, we need you to be here within this period of time, or arrange for
But
someone
they
else to
take
do
that.
that. They do all of that. This is 100%, this program runs itself. It is nothing on IB at all. And they're offering our paras, which is great, because our paras don't get benefits. So they're offering our paras the opportunity to be hired and then obtain benefits, which I think is another great advantage that we didn't know about until tonight. I didn't know anything about that. So I think that's great too, is that we have the opportunity to offer our paras this additional income if they like, to be a part of this company and access benefits at no cost to us, which is fantastic.
And I'm not that good here, but that is here. Do they do anything like for meals?
Yep, they do snacks. So when we were in Northwood, we got to see they do all the snacks based on the kids' allergies and things like that. So all of that is all part of the cost of the program that the parents get.
They schedule it out too, so the parents can see what is for snack next day, so if their kid can't have it and it's planned, they see
Yes,
what
like
they
we
do
did
before.
So if they have a contract with the school to provide the facility, and that's the only contract we have. There's no other pocket other than our normal operating cost as a school.
Correct.
You need the building 24 hours or 8, whatever, it doesn't matter. People in it, not in it, okay? The cost is the same. Would they have to have an individual contract with parents?
Yeah, so the parents they'll contract with us, and then the parents who sign up, they'll have their regular childcare agreement where it'll be like, I do think what's great is they are super flexible. Like every Wednesday, they let them know what days they're gonna be there the following week. So these families don't have to be like 5 days a week, all the time, that's what we're doing. They literally get to say by the end of the day, Wednesday, these are the days my kids are attending next week. So these parents are locked into like full-time all the time, which I think is great. Someone's on vacation or what have you, they say, I don't need help next week. We're good, we're home next week. We get
Kids up with
it.
sports or anything like that too,
Yeah.
for the afternoon, that would work out.
Go ahead.
They serve breakfast? I heard you
Yes.
say snacks. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
so the before program, the morning program, they serve breakfast, in the afternoon, they do snack.
And how many kids, how many parents do you have interested? I know you took a survey, you have like a percentage, but what does that break down to?
I can tell you that in a moment. And my battery is about to die, so I have to run.
One of the things, you can print that and I'll go grab it out of the office just so we have it.
Oh, you have it.
I have the town survey.
Does that have the numbers on it or just the percentages?
It's the percentages.
Does it have a number of respondents for each?
No.
Okay.
number of people who responded to the survey?
Overall, it was about 35 who responded. So morning program, 35 responses, and I had 15 people who indicated yes. That is, of course, we didn't put out information about
Right, I was
costs.
just, yeah, would you be interested in more?
Yes, I'd be interested. For after school, we had 34 responses and 20 people said yes. So the indication is a little bit more interest in an after-school program.
It sounds like with the numbers, I agree with me and what we need to anyway.
That's only asking one kid, that could be multiple kids.
I would add, because this survey doesn't capture that, it doesn't ask about 3 days a week versus 5 days a week. And what I heard them say is when they say 8 kids, they want 8 kids every single day. Average.
They want average, yes. So when you take the 5 days, they want to average that, there was an average of 8. They also said that if we have like 20, like say we had 25 in the afternoon and we only had like 6 in the morning, like they weigh that out, that we're still meeting a sustainable number of kids.
Well, they're making more money that
Right.
way.
No brainer.
Rebecca?
Oh, so I was,
Sorry.
that's gonna be
No.
done.
If you don't meet that number, then they can come back and say, we can't do this because we're not making enough money.
So, yeah, so we start with the program, at 90 days, we sit down and review with them where we're at, have we met the, are there any concerns, have we met the level that we needed to be on, and then we kind of adjust from there, whether they need to increase marketing. The thing they were talking about is they put in the contract that, say we were 3 kids short of meeting our goal after the 90 days. They have the ability to charge us the difference, so if we were 3 short, she said they've never done it.
But
So,
they can.
I mean, it's anything they go. She said that typically what they do at that point is they increase their marketing. Because they don't want us to pay it, they want the program to be successful. So
Right.
they increase their marketing and then go from there. She said they've never charged it. The 2 schools that just started did struggle a little bit in the beginning, they didn't charge them. And then the big thing is gonna be at the end of the year, in May, we'll meet and decide whether this is gonna continue, if we've been able to be successful. They did say they've never, when we met, it was with me and I, they've never pulled out of a school halfway through the year. They basically commit to the year. I think the big thing too is they're investing $27,000 to start this program just in the site supplies.
So do you get to keep those supplies, or
I
is
think
that what they bring
they're
and they take?
keeping them, but I think that's the thing, is like, they want, even whether we want this to be successful, like, they want to make this successful. They're investing this money, they're hiring staff, they want to make this work, so as much as it feels like, I feel like we've seen the YMCA not be able to do the thing. I think this program is much more cost effective than the Y was. I want to say the Y was like $120 for before and after care, I remember. It was pretty high.
I wouldn't even entertain about it.
Yeah, it was pretty high. So I think the thing that's great about this program is those families that just need after school care, like 5 days a week at $85 is really reasonable.
Yeah.
So I think that's the big thing for me, is I think it's a really affordable program. They want to work with the school. They want to work to help our testing scores. Like, they want to do everything they can to help our kids be successful, and they want this program to work. Like, they don't want to put in all this money and then have it fail. Tammy?
The only thing that makes me kind of curious is the 2 towns was Allenstown and Kittery, and they had a hard time in the beginning. Those are way bigger towns with way more money than Middleton.
I think it's just child care is needed. Like, Kittery has a lot more competition for child care than
Right.
we do. We have nothing here. We have you.
But
So I think,
competition to get into that.
right, no, I thought I won the lotto the day I got it. So I think,
Pretty cheap compared to this program.
I know, but I think, the big thing is any center is gonna cost more than a home program. And that is, talking full-time childcare, the girls that I work with are paying like $340 a week for their
That's
toddlers to
ridiculous.
go to childcare. It's
That's
astronomical.
ridiculous.
So I think this program, as a facility program, is super cost-effective. I don't know how everyone else feels, moms and dads that have paid for childcare. I think for me, it's just helping to make sure that it's successful so that it stays. I think that's my only concern, is offering this to families and then having something fall apart. So I just want to
I just want to see, I have no problem doing this. Look, it's not gonna cost us anything, we're just providing space. I'm good with that, as long as the other entities in town, like the budget unit and the, yeah.
This one, or the
So I just want, there's not gonna be no pocket that we have to budget for. That's the biggest thing, yeah. So now it's between them and the individual families and their children and stuff like that. I have no problem with it. I mean, I think it's needed. I can see people who are going, I got one kid over here, I get down there, I get all done before I go to work at 8 o'clock.
Right.
And all that running around with the gas and the expenses do it, and then rushing around afterwards with traffic's bad, take them all up at certain times, like that, where it can be just isolated here, nice, compact, easy. People willing to pay for that, okay? Were they willing to pay before with the other, from a year or so ago? Now that was too expensive. I think people were trying to take advantage, but this is like a good in-between, okay? I have no problem doing it as long as it's not gonna cost you something, but I don't want any legal backlash to come back on the school board because we allow this to happen in the school as well. Because if they drop the ball or something legally happens, how will we protect?
They have to have their own insurance. Yep. And so we won't have any issue with that, because their insurance will be the ones that will be liable if anything happened. And we can have our legal, because they're gonna send us the contract before the implementation happens, so our legal can look at the contract and make sure that everything is up to par. So I think those are the concerns, like the budget committee
I
and
think
select
we
board.
would be doing that anyhow, it's just,
Exactly.
you know, I just,
That's already part of the plan, so I think that,
he's nice.
exactly. And then I think the only other thing is just that we have a building use charge for right now. I don't know how you guys feel, I mean, for me to get the program started and to keep the price down for families, I think, my suggestion would be to waive it for the first year, if we're not having to pay a janitor more to be here, if the hours fit.
We are gonna have to be really thoughtful about hours to ensure that the shared spaces have time to be cleaned. Like, I'm looking at this room as being a room in which kids are received into in the mornings, and so right now, this room gets cleaned in the morning. So we would have to be very thoughtful about time of day and the ability of, because we reduce custodial staff and getting in here to clean.
Okay. So I think that would be my only thing, to get them up and running would be to try to, not charge them anything if we can, unless there's a janitor cost, and I think we talked about that with them. If we need to charge something, we can just say we'll have to charge a janitor cost of this. And then we can revisit it in a year and see if they're doing a profitable business and things are better. I know they had talked to us about like they could pay a fee or they can share, they can do like a percentage or whatever, and I think we figured that out with them at the end of the first year to get them running is my thought process, just to give them that year. And then we can work on making it something that's creating revenue for the school.
Because my thought was, depending on what the cost is, if we don't meet the quota, can we use that to negotiate so that we're, closing that gap?
Well, maybe we can do that for the first year, say, we usually would charge this, we're willing to waive this if you're willing to give us a year. Like, we want this to be successful too, so we're gonna waive our part, asking you to waive if we do have a discrepancy for that first year, that we're not gonna be able to do anything. And I think that's something that we can negotiate with, I don't think that will be unreasonable.
Can I share the fees?
Yes, please.
Okay. So assuming that we are using the multi-purpose room, and they are a for-profit organization, what our policy says is that is $35 an hour.
So I think for the first year, we negotiate with them and say, as long as you guys are willing to give us a year, we're willing to give you a year at no cost, as long as, again, we make sure that it's not gonna cost us anything for the janitor. And then we can, once we get to the end of the year, we can, when we're redoing our contract, we can look at it and say, okay, you guys are profitable, we've done well here, now we're gonna ask you to pay, whether we use this price or we come up with something different. Just because I think we wanna make sure it's as affordable as possible for the kid, our families in Middleton. Any other questions? Okay.
I'm curious,
so-
no, I'm curious. that $35 charge, where does that go to in the budget?
It goes into the revenue line.
Revenue line? It's not earmarked for any programs or anything? or-
No, from what I understand, it goes into the revenue line.
And so I started in July, we've not had any for-profit businesses rent this space. I'm thinking of something like I don't know, would a rec league, like one of the baseball leagues coming in and using our gym for practice, that would be a situation where we
Right.
could charge. As
They
long as
did
they're
do
not
that in the
nonprofit.
beginning of
Yeah.
the school.
Yeah, but to my knowledge, that has not been, we've not used that for those reasons at all this year. Nobody's come in.
I just,
Do you say you're feeling better about this?
well, no, yeah, no, the biggest thing like that, I can tell you right now, if it could be any cost on tax pocket, in any shape or form, I'm not for it because they're already paying for the school.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's like you're bringing in another educational component to a school that already has an educational component, you know? And I just don't see the taxpayers, I mean, people who have, the kids that need it,
Right.
fine. But I don't want it to be subsidized by the rest of the
But we don't
town.
want to impact the rest of the town that
No,
isn't
they
having
shouldn't have.
access to the service.
They should have to, I mean, they're already, and if you have a family, a kid, 2 children, we're already subsidizing one. You can't keep adding that burden to the taxpayer, you just can't afford that,
I totally agree.
so.
I think this is a great opportunity to not burden the taxpayers, but also provide the service to the families that need it, because there's a huge need in this town. There's something else I wanted to share. Where it is now. Oh, the other thing that they were great, they love to be involved in the community. That was another thing that I think is great about this program. They said they're willing to come in and do childcare, doing like deliberative sessions. If there's other events that are going on, they're willing to come in. So I think they're super great that they're willing to come in, they want to be involved in the community, and they want to hire people in our community. Like that is their number one goal, is to hire people here that are part of the town, which I think is huge.
But be careful, don't poach teachers.
Well, I think the great thing is then is the paras, like, that is the great thing is
That's
offering this to the
fine.
paras.
That's all they use.
It's so great.
That will make a 10 to 11-hour day for our parents, so I don't know the degree to which people will be invested. However, the health insurance piece is pretty neat.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts? Okay, so I would make a proposal that we have a board continue, or subcommittee continue. Sam and I have been working on this, if you guys are okay, with me and Sam. I would make a proposal that Sam and I continue working on this as a subcommittee to act on the school board's behalf, to move forward with this program. And if you guys are okay with it, we would, I would make a motion to start with the letter of intent. We can let them know that we want to move forward, get everything rolling, and then we can bring the contract to you guys for the next meeting, because the next meeting's in like 2 weeks. We'll have to go look at it, review that feedback.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, so my
Second
proposal
to
is,
mo- second to the motion.
let me clean it up.
You made a motion, you have a second to it.
So my motion is first to have the subcommittee of myself and Sam to act on behalf, as well as Sam's agreement with being right, to act on behalf of the board, to move forward with the champions before and after school program discussions. All in favor? And then, so that was unanimous, aye. The second part of my motion would be to allow Sam and I to move forward with a letter of intent to get that rolling, so that we can work towards having this up and running for fall. Get the contract, submit that to legal, and then bring that to you guys at the next board meeting. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay. So I think that is great. Anything else that anyone has to add to this?
I'm
Well,
going to
then-
give my emails to the schools and like that. I'll be
You
doing that.
still don't have your
They
email?
sent me the information, yeah. I got work I'm doing,
Okay.
I'll do it Thursday when I rain.
Got it. So you're, okay, so I don't need to get involved, you're working on it.
I'm working on
Okay.
it, I'll do it Thursday.
I do have a question.
Sure.
I know you run your meetings and you do public input before and then after. Is there any way to change that? Because a lot of times that you talk about and you decide, the people would like to have some public input in that moment, not after the fact of after you've voted on things. And I was on the school board, I know why you do it, but I just think that honestly, for a show of transparency and for people that's sitting in the audience that are like so frustrated, I just think it would be good if you could just ease up.
I think we have been kind of doing it and on a case-by-case basis. So if there's something, there have been meetings that there were big discussions. And in those meetings, we've allowed people to kind of give their input. We still don't respond back with answers, unless it's saying like, well, this was just discussed. But we, right away, we're still doing the 30-day, the next board meeting answers for the recommendation of the School Board Association legal. But yes, when we're having those, especially if it's something that's super important, we do have a little bit more dialogue.
Because I know in the last meeting, there was somebody here that wanted to talk about something, and Kelly had said, well, we have to wait for Rebecca to come. And
Oh, I'm
then
sorry.
it never got talked about, it never, and he felt very miffed at the whole school board.
I can understand that.
It was Dave Brill about the bus driver, salaries.
Okay.
I just think if you could have talked about it, and whatever.
Yeah, I wasn't here, so I can't speak to that, so I apologize for that part. But yeah, I think typically we try to do that, so I don't know what happened last meeting, because unfortunately I wasn't here until after the call had happened. So I can definitely, we can take that into account, and hopefully not have that.
Just transparency is wonderful in this town.
I'm working so hard to have that transparency, we feel it too. All right, so I will entertain a motion to call this meeting to adjourn
So moved.
at 7:32. Perfect, all in favor? Aye. Thank you guys.
Joe, do you have?
I can go home, watch them off the break.
Do you use social media?
Huh?
Do you use social media?
No, he does not.